You see words like integrity, excellence, or teamwork on some laminated card, and you kind of roll your eyes. Because you know that in the day-to-day grind, they're often completely ignored. And that gap between what we say we are and what we actually do, it creates this deep cynicism on our teams.
But what if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if a set of values, when they're rigorously practiced, isn't some soft, feel-good HR thing, but a hard-nosed framework for actually winning in the market? Well, that's the big idea we're going to unpack today.
Okay, so first things first, we have to really understand the problem. And the problem is what I like to call the values charade. You know, that massive disconnect between the words on the website and the actual actions happening in the hallways. So this is really the core of it. On one side, you've got these generic values that nobody believes in. They just create confusion and cynicism. But on the other side, wow, there's an incredible opportunity. A culture where values are so real, so lived in, they become a genuine competitive advantage. You start attracting the best people, and you build this unshakable trust. Our job as leaders is to close that gap. So, how do we do it? How do we close that gap? We move from the problem to the solution with a really practical framework. And I want you to think of this not as a poster, but as a behavioral blueprint for your entire organization. This whole thing requires a huge mindset shift. Values aren't about feelings, they're about strategy. See, when your values are crystal clear and actually operational, you empower every single employee to make aligned decisions, even when you're not in the room. It's really the ultimate tool for scaling your leadership and creating autonomy. Okay, so here's the blueprint itself. It's a super simple 4-step process to make your values real. We're going to go from the abstract what all the way down to the concrete proof. So let's break it down. Step 1, this is the easy part. This is the what. You just state your value clearly and concisely. So for our example, let's use a classic. We put the client's interests first. Simple, right? But, and this is a big but, it's totally meaningless on its own. Now, step 2 is where the real magic happens. This is where we translate that abstract value into the how, the specific observable behaviors. What does putting the client first actually look like in the real world? Well, it means turning down profitable work if it's not the right fit for them. It means protecting their confidential information like it's your own. It's about actions, not just words. And now for the most crucial point of all. A value is only really a value when it costs you something. Step 3 is the litmus test. That's the moment where your value goes head-to-head with a short-term win, like revenue or convenience. This is where your culture is actually formed. Let me tell you a quick story that just illustrates this perfectly. So imagine a fast-growing tech company, and one of their core values is customer trust. One day, their engineers find a major security flaw. Now, it's not being exploited yet, but it could be. So here it is, the litmus test. The engineers say, hey, we can patch this quietly in a couple of weeks, no problem. But PR is screaming that if they disclose it, the stock price will tank and it'll be a media firestorm. So what do? The value of customer trust is in direct conflict with that short-term stock price. The CEO made the tough call. He chose to uphold the value. They disclosed the vulnerability immediately, told customers exactly how they were fixing it, and they just owned the problem. And yeah, the stock did take a hit. But that single action, that leadership signal, it became a legend inside the company. It was the ultimate proof that customer trust wasn't just some slogan. It was how they operated, no matter what it cost. That story really shows the power of this framework, doesn't it? So now, the big question, how do you implement this? Let's get into the practical, actionable playbook you can use with your own team. Here are 4 key things you can do. First, get your team in a room and define the behaviors. Literally turn your values into verbs. Second, build it right into your performance reviews. You have to assess the how people get results, not just the what. Third, become a storyteller. Share real examples, just like the one we heard. And finally, the most powerful signal of all, you have to be willing to fire a toxic high performer who violates your values. And if you really want to track if this is working, there's one powerful, kind of non-obvious metric you should be using. It's called the values-based attrition rate. It's actually pretty simple. What percentage of the people who leave your organization, especially the ones you ask to leave, are let go because of a clear violation of your values? Think about it. If that number is 0, it's a huge red flag that you might be tolerating behavior that's undermining your entire culture. So here is your takeaway. The one thing I want you to do to make this real.
Walk into your next team meeting on Monday morning and ask this simple but incredibly powerful question. The answers you get will probably be uncomfortable, but trust me, they will be your exact starting point for turning your values from a platitude into your greatest source of strength.